Neosho County, Kansas, health officials push for a mask mandate as the hospital hits capacity. We'll look at how an end to the eviction moratorium will impact a local nonprofit organization and how a new initiative by the Parsons Police Department looks to cut down on holiday theft.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, we'll hear from Webb City head football coach John Roderick on his induction into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. And the current coronavirus relief package under negotiation in Congress does not include stimulus payments for Americans. For something to talk about, we're asking whether or not you think the bill should be passed without those direct payments. You can also participate in our Insta poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
Boy, we came close to breaking some December 9th records yesterday. We just missed in both Joplin and Chanute, but we're going to go ahead and re-challenge them here on December the 10th. Freeman Health System sky camera sitting at 43 degrees. Our temperatures are just all over the place. We're sitting at a whole bunch of freezing numbers from Pittsburgh, Parsons, and Oswego in southeast Kansas, Miami at 32, and then southwest Missouri just already running the 40s. 46 in Monette, 44 in Carthage, and 40 in Lamar. So as far as that national perspective goes, you can tell the ridge of the jet stream now squarely over us, which is why it will be not only one of our warmest days of the week, probably one of our warmest days of the month of December. We're talking about easily high 60s, low 70s here by the time it's all said and done. Now remember, we've got big changes here on the way as we get ready for Friday, because that's when the rain begins to creep in from the west right there. And on top of the Friday morning rain that rolls through, you can even tell there's some wintry precip out in central Kansas, an indicator that even our temperatures are going to slowly decrease into the weekend. As a matter of fact, it's going to be chilly on Saturday and Sunday, especially compared to where we've been last couple of days, as we are going to be in the high 30s with additional shots of rain both days as well.
One more day.
It'll be perfect today. And once again, no wind.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, today will almost be a repeat, if not a little bit warmer.
Even better. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, mask mandates continue to be a topic of contention here in the 4-state area, and Neosho County, Kansas is no exception. The chief of emergency medicine at Neosho Memorial, who also happens to be the Neosho County Health Department director, says COVID-19 has pushed his hospital to capacity. Dr. Keyser and his fellow doctors are urging Neosho County commissioners to opt back into the state mask mandate. 28 out of the 105 counties in the state currently have no mask order. The Joplin Health Department says it's now recorded 71 total COVID-19 related deaths. This comes after the death of a 77-year-old man. An eviction moratorium put in place by the CDC is set to expire at the end of the year. The moratorium temporarily stopped evictions for people who were behind on rent, who had been impacted by COVID-19 and met certain criteria. It was designed to keep people from becoming homeless or having to enter shelter facilities, which could have increased the risk of spreading COVID. Tenants are still required to pay rent and follow all of the terms of their lease agreement, but the moratorium would stop landlords from evicting you if you were behind and met the criteria. Many have turned to places like the Economic Security Corporation in Joplin for assistance.
I worry about being overwhelmed with requests. We've had requests since March, since the pandemic really took hold in the community, but the funds are limited. If they have a need, they need to reach out now to see if they, even qualify for what we have.
To see if you qualify for assistance from Economic Security Corp, we've put contact info on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, during the holiday shopping season, shoplifting and thefts become more of a problem. KOAM's Zach Dodge has what one local police department is going to do about it.
Since opening Gold and Silver Exchange 25 years ago, Gloria Cunningham has seen a lot of change, but there's always been one constant: shoplifting.
If we get real busy and get a lot of people in, you can't keep your eyes on everything. And we have cameras, but still, it happens.
And over the last several months, since everyone is wearing masks, cameras have become less effective.
Sometimes I try to look at it, well, if they needed it, then hopefully it blessed them,
It's a common problem in Parsons around the holidays, with more than 500 thefts happening altogether last year. So the police department is starting a new program to curb the problem.
Operation Santa Watch is going to be a holiday crime control patrol prevention. We're going to try to get on top of all the crimes that we normally end up having during the holiday season.
Starting this Friday the 11th, officers will start doing patrols in parking lots and going into stores to try and prevent shoplifting and theft from cars.
I'm pretty excited about it. I think this is going to stop a lot of the theft reports that we have to take during this time of year, especially shoplifting reports that we typically take.
And since officers will be around in parking lots anyway, they'll be available to help with employee walkouts after dark and even the occasional jump start.
It's not something that's very difficult, so I do have a lot of officers that are willing to help out with it, which is great. So I think it's going to be successful.
Cunningham is excited about the idea, hoping it will help remind people of something that's pretty simple.
You can't just take something that don't belong to you. There are consequences if you get caught doing such a thing, you know, and it's a good thing to have their force in here.
In Parsons, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
The program runs through December 31st. And speaking of thefts, the USPS has a program to help keep your mail from being stolen. It's called Informed Delivery and allows you to digitally preview your mail, assuring you know what's supposed to be there when you get home. The man who was instrumental in the creation of Neosho's Crowder College has died. James Tatum passed away yesterday at his home in Pineville, Missouri. In the 60s, he helped author legislation creating community colleges in Missouri and bought 600 acres of land from the federal government for Crowder College. It opened in 1963. James Tatum was 95. It's 5:07.
We will roll sunrise at 7:21 on this Thursday morning and get ready to challenge those record highs this afternoon. A little south breeze, just 5 to 10 miles per hour. I think the largest gust we'll experience probably just about 18 to 20, so that's really pretty much nothing. Then we lock in for clouds that begin after midnight. Rain kicks in, say about 4 or 5 a.m. Going to be a wet Friday. Going to be a cold one after that, with the front dropping us down to the 30s for the weekend.
That's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Lady Eagle Classic opens up in Joplin. We'll have highlights from both of last night's games. Plus, we'll tell you what's stalling a coronavirus relief package in Congress. And a look at the challenges healthcare providers could face getting a coronavirus vaccine to rural areas. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
It was opening night of the Lady Eagle Classic at Joplin High School. Tipped things off with Carthage on the floor against McDonald County. Carthage off to a 3-1 start in the first 4 games. Kiana Yates way ahead to Haley Fullerton. Fullerton with the finish, and then Yates will do it herself. Kiana Yates, 15 points last night. Into the first, Megan Elwood turns, beats the buzzer. But Carthage still up 9 going into the second half. Brenner Ream all alone for the easy 2. Steigers up 17 now and close it out in the second half. Sophie Shannon gets a tough shot to go. Fullerton from the corner, let it fly. Game high 16 for Haley Fullerton, and that is Landry Cochran with a 3. Carthage tops Matt County 61-31. Other game last night, Joplin facing Mount Vernon. L. Johnston, really good for the Mountaineers with the steal in the first. Lays it off the glass for the tough 2. This time Johnston steps back. 3 from the right side. Johnston had a game high 25. Other end, Emma Floyd goes to work for the Eagles. Down low, establishes position. Nice left hand. Eagles within 4 points after the first quarter. The Mount Vernon runs away with it after that. Lacey Stokes, she's headed to Missouri Southern. Hello. Nobody gets in front of her. She had 13 last night. Mount Vernon over Joplin, 54-12. Webb City head football coach John Roderick headed to the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Our own sports director Jacob Leonard caught up with Roderick and some of his former players as he prepares to take his place in Missouri sports history.
John Roderick undoubtedly has a Hall of Fame resume. He's led Webb City to 12 state championships, 21 consecutive district titles, and has won 91% of his games in 24 years.
It's so much more than just winning games and having that kind of success on the field. It's so much more about the relationships with the players.
We really want to succeed and just play better for him, and not even for ourselves and our teammates, but I think that's what really separates him and makes him such a great coach.
His impact, though, goes beyond the scoreboard, resonating from Webb City, Missouri, all the way to the NFL.
Every time I lose a block or something, not every time, but sometimes it'll pop in my head like, dang, Coach Rod would be ripping me right now. I got to get that done. I got to get this going.
Roderick credits his coaches and players for the success of the Webb City football program.
You don't get anywhere by yourself, I always think about our coaches that we've had in this program for the years that I've been here. I think about the unbelievable players.
He always, talks about he's got the assistants, great players, yada, 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 and stuff like that. Winning and all that has to go back to, Coach Rod's character. It's easy to go out and, like I said, play as hard as you can, do all those things when you're playing for a man that cares for you and cares about everybody around you so much.
It was definitely much easier just knowing you had somebody like that behind you in your back, knowing that he was going to make all the right decisions for you and put you in the best position to win.
He enters the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame for his success on the field, but to former players, the man off the field made an even bigger difference.
He was always there for me no matter whenever I needed him, all the way from Pee-wee all the way up until I was a senior. He still checks up on me. He's a wonderful man. He's an awesome person, and to be honest, he's been one of my father figures my entire life.
Coach made quite an impact on the community as well. There at one point in time, there was a young sports reporter who moved down here, didn't know anybody, didn't have a clue where he even was, but he was living in Webb City. And one coach reached out to him, made sure he was doing okay as he got adjusted to life in the 4 states, and to this day, I always love seeing Coach John Roderick. Congratulations, Coach. Roderick and the rest of the 2021 Sports Hall of Fame class going to be inducted January 31st. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, the latest on the coronavirus vaccine rollout.
Canada joins the UK in approving Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine. I'm Greg Falcott in London. That's my story. Coming up.
And to check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Getting ready to roll past 5:17 on this Thursday morning. Oh, we came close to a number of records for December 9th and just fell short in selected locations. I picked out Joplin, Chanute, Pittsburgh, Monette, kind of take a look at and see how we were going to do yesterday. Right now it's 40 from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Chanute. December 9th from yesterday is going to rank top 5 all time in Joplin. It's going to be second in Pittsburgh. It's going to be second in Monette. It's going to be second in Chanute. Chanute came within 1 degree of tying the record. And even though we're chilly right now out in southeast Kansas, we've got 40s through southwest Missouri. We're going to challenge it again on December 10th. This is kind of where we peaked out here. I want to pay attention for you record watchers, really, in between about, say, 1 and 4. That's kind of when we look at the thermometer and say how warm we going to get. So our weather almanac for today, 74 is the magic number in Joplin. I don't know, may come just short of it once again. As far as the bus stop forecast goes, 721 is when we will roll in clear Skywatch Storm Tracker, nationally speaking as well. So highs up in the high 60s, low 70s today. But of course, we know we've got big developments on the way by the time we get to Friday. After midnight, the cloud cover arrives, and then the rain rolls in, say about 4 or 5 a.m. It's going to be a wet Friday, and on the backside of it, much cooler temps that are going to drop us down into the 30s by the time we get in to Saturday and Sunday. So what we're looking at after that, additional shots of rain over the weekend, but not as widespread as what we'll see on Friday, certainly. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Republican and Democratic lawmakers trying to come to a deal on a coronavirus relief package. But for now, proposal does not include stimulus payments like the ones sent to millions of Americans earlier this year. Here's John Lawrence with the details.
There's still a stalemate on a stimulus package, and the clock is ticking.
People's eyes are fixed on Congress. They need the House and the Senate to stop chasing our tails and make a law.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers has proposed a deal that includes giving the unemployed $300 more a week for 16 weeks, $300 billion in aid for small businesses, and a continued pause on federal student loan payments through the end of April. The plan doesn't include stimulus checks.
We need a large, bold program to stimulate the economy, help people out of the conditions they're in, but keep the economy going for a long period of time.
Congress is trying to get a bill passed soon because aid programs that were approved in March, including jobless assistance measures and eviction protections, expire before the end of the year.
We're not going home until we do get one. How can you face the people back home that have lost their unemployment check, that have lost their food assistance, they've lost their shelter, all the necessities of life that we take for granted?
Sticking points include state and local aid and liability protection for employers.
This need not be rocket science. But we can't do a thing unless the Democrats decide they actually want to make a law.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Yesterday, House passed a short-term bill that moves the shutdown of the government to December 18th, buys a little more time for those pandemic relief negotiations. Senate's expected to pass it later this week. Our question to you, should a coronavirus relief bill be passed without stimulus checks? Let us know why or why not on Facebook and take part in our Insta poll. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, an FDA panel meets today to start the final step in approving the nation's first coronavirus vaccine. If the Pfizer vaccine gets a green light, distributing it to rural areas will be a tall order. Omar Jimenez takes a look at what health officials in South Dakota are doing to try to make sure they reach distant areas.
When the backdrop is windmills and open fields, you can see how getting a COVID-19 vaccine to actual people turns into a challenge. It involves literally loading cold packs into a minivan that eventually will be part of keeping this vital medicine cold as it travels tens, even hundreds of miles to clinics and hospitals that need them.
Each state will receive its own allocation of vaccine, and so we plan for that accordingly and strategically place freezers like this across our 4-region footprint.
At Sanford USD Medical Center in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, they're ready for whatever amount of vaccine they get.
Latch on the side. And then there are inner doors as well.
Months ago, they bought these ultra-cold freezers, at least negative 70 degrees Celsius or negative 103 degrees Fahrenheit required for the Pfizer vaccine, negative 20 degrees Celsius for Moderna's.
Right now, the freezers are empty.
The Pfizer vaccine can only survive for up to 5 days in typical refrigeration.
When we get orders from our clinics to distribute that vaccine, we'll pack it in coolers on ice and then monitor that temperature to make sure it's, at that point, maintaining refrigerator temperatures until it is given to the patient.
But the actual distribution is complicated. Sanford's coverage area encompasses more than 200,000 square miles over multiple states. That's almost comparable to the size of Texas. They have to rely on hubs that have the ultra-cold storage facilities in key regions of these states. And that's because each state gets its own allocation of the vaccine. So, Sanford can only take supplies across state lines, not the vaccine itself. And then from the hubs, they transport just enough vaccine to even more remote locations to get people what they need, but not leave anything wasted in clinics or locations that can't store it properly.
Delivering multiple times over many days to move the vaccine, we will continue to do that rather than moving big portions of vaccine to a small clinic or a critical access hospital so that we don't run into that, temperature dilemma.
What is the most difficult part about administering and distributing a vaccine in a rural setting versus a city setting?
The geography itself, just the miles that separate us, making sure the resources can reach all of those areas.
I think worrying about when you're going to give a vaccine within 6 days of taking it out of the freezer and within 6 hours of reconstituting it is really something I don't think anybody has done before.
Government documents obtained by CNN shows the first batches of the Pfizer vaccine will be delivered on December 15th. That is, if the vaccine gets the okay for emergency use from the FDA. Children living near convenience stores and very few grocery stores face a greater risk of obesity. A study in the Journal of Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics looked at fresh food options for children living in low-income communities and found when more healthy food options were available, children had healthier weights. Researchers say the need for healthier options is more evident now with rising food insecurity from the pandemic. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
It's going to be a warm one today, high 60s, low 70s, challenging some records. But remember, starting Friday morning, that's when the clouds come, the rain arrives, and the colder temperatures carry us into a chilly weekend. Back right after this.
Neosho County, Kansas health officials push for a mask mandate as the hospital hits capacity. We'll look at how an end to the eviction moratorium will impact a local nonprofit organization and how a new initiative by the Parsons Police Department looks to cut down on holiday theft.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, our morning talker today is about the next coronavirus relief package, and we want to know whether or not you think it should be passed without direct stimulus payments to Americans. We also invite you to participate in this morning's Instapoll. All you have to do is visit KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, check on your forecast.
Good looking morning, and it's even going to be a better afternoon. There's a live look from the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Still on the dry side. Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin, temperatures already at 43 degrees. Now, our temps are really all over the place because we still have 32s throughout southeast Kansas and northeast Oklahoma. But then you cross the state line into Missouri, pretty much rolling a whole bunch of 40s right there. No worries for the kiddos. We'll call sunrise 721 over Joplin. A little south breeze, just 5 to 10 miles per hour to start with, as the ridge of the jet stream squarely over the 4 states. And that means another warm one on tap. As a matter of fact, why don't we talk about if we can get up to about 74 in Joplin. That's going to be hard now. We'd tie the all-time December 10th record. Chanute, we got to get to 72. I think we got a shot at that. Just missed a record in Chanute yesterday by a scant 1 degree. Now we talk about chance for record warmth, and then we get to Friday. So first we got the clouds, then about 4 or 5 a.m. the rain rolls in. And on the backside of the rain, you'll notice the snow. We're not going to have to worry about the snow or anything, but it's an indicator of just how cold it is out to the west as that cold front continues to push through us and takes us down into the high 30s, low 40s for Saturday and Sunday. So about a 30-degree difference there from where we'll top out today to where we'll be on Saturday and Sunday.
All right. Sounds like it's about to get cold.
We got everything
All right, well,
in the next 3 days.
And it starts with a beautiful day today.
Yeah, it starts with a whole bunch of
take it.
sunshine.
All right, thanks, Michael. Mask mandates continue to be a topic of contention here in the 4-state area, and the conversation is heating up in Neosho County, Kansas. One Neosho County commissioner is urging his fellow commissioners to get on board with a mask mandate after warnings from a local hospital. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to commissioners on both sides of the debate to learn more.
The chief of emergency medicine at Neosho Memorial, who also happens to be the Neosho County Health Department director, is sounding the alarm.
We're in a situation now where our hospital's pretty much full, or has been pretty full most of the time, and we're having a real hard time getting people transferred out that need critical care.
The situation at this Chanute hospital is why Dr. Kieser and his fellow doctors are begging Neosho County commissioners to opt back into the state mask mandate. Commissioner David Orr agrees with the doctors, but his fellow commissioners do not.
So to me, it's a cut and dry thing. To me, as commissioners, don't have an option the only option is to jump into the governor's mandate. We are now, I don't know, about 800 and some people. We're at 3 deaths.
Some people in the county are upset with the commissioners who are keeping the county out of the state mask mandate and have even taken to shaming them with billboards. I reached out to both those commissioners and received a response from Commissioner Gail Klassen, who says, "My duties as commissioner are to make decisions that will promote both the health and socioeconomic well-being of the community." While there was an early KU study from June to August that appeared to indicate mask mandates had a positive impact, I have concerns that current data does not reflect this. Commissioner Orr says his term will soon be up, but he won't be letting this issue go and hopes county residents who agree with him won't as well.
I vowed to keep on coming at them till hell freezes over. Until I go out the door. I go out the door sometime in January, and I'm not going to give up.
In Chanute, Kansas, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
You can read Commissioner Klassen's entire statement in the story on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. An eviction moratorium put in place by the CDC is set to expire at the end of the year. The moratorium temporarily stopped evictions for people who were behind on rent, who had been impacted by COVID-19 and met certain criteria. It was designed to keep people from becoming homeless or having to enter shelter facilities which could have increased the risk of spreading COVID. Tenants are still required to pay rent and follow all of the terms of their lease agreement, but the moratorium would stop landlords from evicting you if you were behind and still met the criteria. Many have turned to places like the Economic Security Corporation in Joplin for assistance.
Right now, between my 5 staff that are doing applications for rental assistance, they're working through about 50 requests for assistance, and I know that that number is going to grow. We've spent just in the past 4 days almost $12,000 helping about 12 different families so far, and I just know that number is going to increase.
To see if you qualify for assistance from Economic Security Corp, we've put contact information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, the Consumer Council of Missouri has filed a motion with the State Public Service Commission, or PSC, for an emergency order to create a winter utility disconnection moratorium. PSC has posted notice of the motion and shortened the time for responses. Action by the Public Service Commissioners is expected by December 16th. Butterball says it is cutting operations at its Carthage, Missouri processing plant next spring, laying off 450 workers. The company says the changes are meant to align more with consumer demand. Employees affected will be given the chance to relocate or accept severance packages. The changes are scheduled to begin March 1st. Well, local police department is trying to cut down on thefts and shoplifting this holiday season. Parsons, Kansas Police Department is starting Operation Santa Watch. The program starts this Friday and will have officers do patrols in store parking lots and do walkthroughs to try and prevent shoplifting and theft from cars. A local business owner thinks it's a good idea and is excited for it to start. The Kansas Department of Health and Environment issues a boil water advisory for Caney, Kansas and Montgomery County. This advisory is not related to COVID-19. The advisory will remain in effect until the conditions that place the system at risk of bacterial contamination are resolved. KDHE issued the advisory because of a loss of pressure due to a water main break. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, our own Jesse Irwin tells us what's going on around town.
Well, there's a lot of different stuff happening around the 4 states, both virtually and in person. We'll have some of those coming up for you when we return.
Plus, scientists off the coast of Mexico discover a new species of whale. We'll have details, but first, it's 5:37.
Temperatures up into the high 60s, low 70s later today. Absolutely gorgeous before number 1, the rain and the cold front arrive. Now, that's not going to be till Friday, but it's something that we do want to keep our eyes on because it's going to be a stark difference after the rain rolls through to where we were not only today, but yesterday as well. We're looking at high 30s, low 40s over the weekend. Take advantage of what's left for a lot of sunshine and an abnormally warm December Thursday. We'll be back with World Watch right after this.
Topping World Watch, the UK starts an investigation into 2 adverse reactions that occurred on the first day of the coronavirus vaccinations. This comes as Canada takes a major step towards immunizations. Greg Pelcott has more.
Another country moves closer to distributing a coronavirus vaccine. Canada announcing today it's approved Pfizer-BioNTech's candidate for use. The country expects to receive up to 249,000 doses this month and 4 million by March. Health Canada officials say they're advising people who previously had reactions to any of the vaccine's ingredients not to be inoculated. This comes as the UK investigates 2 adverse reactions from their first day of vaccinations.
It's not just allergies. It's if you have a history of what's called an anaphylactoid reaction, where you get a big rash, you start to swell up, your blood pressure goes down. That's a very big reaction.
The UK's drug regulator is looking into whether the reactions are directly linked to Pfizer's vaccine. They occurred with 2 healthcare workers who had a history of severe allergies. Public health officials say the investigation is being done out of an abundance of caution.
There's a backward-looking bit and a forward-looking bit for these vaccines, and they all depend on pre-existing systems.
Pfizer says it stands by the safety of its vaccine, but supports the UK's investigation. The company commenting, stating in part, quote, "In the pivotal phase 3 clinical trial, this vaccine was generally well tolerated, with no serious safety concerns reported by the Independent Data Monitoring Committee."
Both the UK and Canada will review Moderna's vaccine in the coming weeks. The Senate fails to stop a Trump administration arms deal with United Arab Emirates. It includes $23 billion worth of drones, F-35 fighter jets, and other weapons. Republican Senator Rand Paul and Democratic Senators Bob Menendez and Chris Murphy opposed the sale. They worry it will induce fear in the already unstable region. 2 resolutions to stop the transactions were put forward to the Senate, but both failed to get the votes. The sale is expected to be cleared on Friday. Well, a giant iceberg is heading for an island in the southern Atlantic where scientists fear it will devastate wildlife. The British Royal Air Force released video on Tuesday of this iceberg that stretches more than 1,600 square miles. They say the iceberg is on a path to collide with South Georgia Island, which is a remote British territory off of South America that houses a penguin colony, as well as seals and albatross. And whether a possible collision is days or weeks away is unclear. Whale researchers in Mexican waters looking for one species of whale make what may be the discovery of another whale species. The scientists were using hydrophones and other equipment to follow one type of beaked whale when they came across 3 of a previously unknown type of beaked whale. The discovery was not clear until later, after looking at photos showing differentiating teeth and hearing underwater calls. If verified, the discovery could add to science's knowledge of the species. Researchers were ecstatic at the unexpected findings.
It became clear we didn't see Perrin's beaked whale. We saw something new, something that was not expected in this area, something that doesn't match, either visually or acoustically, anything that's known to exist.
Experts say DNA testing would be needed to confirm the discovery, but if proven, it would bring the number of known beaked whale species to 24. Pretty cool. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Told you there's still a lot of cool stuff down there we haven't discovered. Republican and Democratic lawmakers trying to come to a deal on a coronavirus relief package. And our question to you on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll is, should a coronavirus relief bill be passed without stimulus checks? We'll start with Guy Hansen. Guy says it's a matter of who will get credit for signing the checks. Another check is on the way, whether now or January. Janelle Kenny Hale says no. They say the politicians need to stop getting their paychecks that taxpayers pay for until they start taking care of the country and the people. They do nothing except serve themselves. Matt LaFata, he says the way the government works, they're going to waste more money than the bills figured for trying to figure it out. Greed, 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 Matt says. And Kimberly Wright says, I think there's a lot of low-income people that could use it. That's the one who spend money at businesses and stimulate the economy. We're the ones that keep the country running. Without the little people, what would they have? You can also make your thoughts known on this morning's Insta poll. You go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Right now, 91% of you said a relief bill should not be passed without a stimulus check. 91%. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. And the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. U.S. is poised to take a big step forward in the fight against the coronavirus. An FDA advisory panel will vote today on whether to recommend emergency use authorization for Pfizer's vaccine. The first doses could be shipped to states this weekend. Mask mandates continue to be a topic of contention here in the 4-state area, and in Neosho County, Kansas is no exception. The chief of emergency medicine at Neosho Memorial, who also happens to be the Neosho County Health Department director, says COVID-19 has pushed his hospital to capacity. Dr. Keyser and his fellow doctors are urging Neosho County commissioners to opt back into the state mask mandate. 28 of the 105 counties in the state currently have no mask order. And Butterball says it is cutting operations at its Carthage, Missouri processing plant next spring, laying off 450 workers. Company says the changes are meant to align more with consumer demand. Employees affected will be given the chance to relocate or accept severance packages. Changes are scheduled to begin March 1st. A local police department is trying to cut down on thefts and shoplifting this holiday season. The Parsons, Kansas Police Department is starting Operation Santa Watch. The program starts this Friday and will have officers do patrols in store parking lots. and do walkthroughs to try to prevent shoplifting and theft from cars. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Here's some magic numbers for this December 10th. 74 in Joplin, 72 in Chanute, 69 in Pittsburgh, and 67 in Monette. Now, those happen to be the individual highs for December 10th. And we're going to come very, very close to tying, if not breaking some of those by the time our December 10, this Thursday, is over. Now, with that being said, then we get big changes overnight into Friday morning. We begin the cloud development after midnight. Then we roll the rain in from the west moving east. And on the backside of it, much cooler temperatures. After a wet Friday, we're looking at 30s on Saturday and Sundays. Make sure you get out and you take advantage of today. Another key factor about our Thursday, it's not going to be blustery. Despite the fact those temperatures are going to be nice and warm, and a southwest wind, 5 to 10, maybe 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's all we got to worry about. Be back right after this. Now, one thing that we know is not going to change in a tumultuous 2020 is the fact that Santa still needs to read those letters from everybody. And so what we've done is set up what we call Notes to the North Pole, kind of the KOAM morning news way of making sure that all those letters get up there. You go to KOAMnewsnow.com, and on the right-hand side, you're going to see this link, Share Your Child's Notes to the North Pole, or you can just click on the big man himself right there. And it's going to pop you up this window. And all you have to do is scroll down here, fill out these fields, and we actually have struck a little deal with the big man, with said big man. We're going to have him on from December 17th to the 24th, reading some letters from our 4-state kids. So once again, go to KOAMnewsnow.com, KOAMnewsnow.com, and click on the Notes to the North Pole link right there. And sit down with your kids. I think they'll have a great time helping you fill it out as well. Now for our morning Instapoll and our Something to Talk About on the KOAM News Facebook page, asking, should a coronavirus relief bill be passed without stimulus checks? We'll pick back up with Rocky Cunningham, who says, Rocky says, Washington swampers going to do whatever they think will get them the most credit with their fellow fat rats. Our opinions do not matter. Dems don't really care about our lives. We die, they still get our votes, just saying. And Rocky, it's funny, when I woke up this morning, I actually saw something very similar to that. And the fact that you posted something like that, I got a kick out of that, man. Dave Sorek says, I'm tired of the manipulation from our government. Who gets credit and who gets to win seems to be all that matters. And we need real local news. When you lead with Washington politics and articles about disease every day for an entire year, you are boring and inconsequential. And then Michelle Passini says, some things will never change, sadly. The wealthiest people deciding when others can eat and have shelter for their families, when in fact there's taxes providing for them. Enjoy this beautiful day, everyone. Good morning, Mama. And Tony Stout, he's got an interesting story coming out of his work to begin with. And he says, so yeah, there's a lot of money left out there if they just give it to the right people. Not like the junkies that live across the street. They still send disability checks to people in prison. Of course, on the Instapoll this morning, we've got 89% of you that say, no, don't pass the relief bill if it doesn't include a stimulus check. Now, time to check in with our own Jesse Irwin. Look at what's going on around town the holiday season. What you got for us?
All right, so we got ourselves quite a few things actually, Michael, this week, and so I want to highlight just a few of those, both for those staying home and for those of us looking to get out of the house for a little bit. So, all right, first let's check out what the internet has for us here. We're going to start with the Silent Night auction. It's a holiday auction being put on by the Neosho Arts Council. It's a really, really cool event. I mean, the Neosho Arts Council is hosting the online auction to fund the restoration of 3 historic murals. Now, their goal is $40,000, and they have all sorts of pieces available that local artists have put up for auction on there. And of course, a portion of your purchase goes to the artist as well. And you just go to neoshoarts.net for details, and you can check out how to bid on an item. It's pretty cool stuff. Next, if you're looking for a reason to get out of the house, here's a fun show you can check out that starts tonight, actually. It's 7:30. It's being put on by Dream Theater Group. It's the Yuletide Ghost Tales at Studio 124. It's inspired by the Smithsonian article, A Plea to Resurrect the Christmas Tradition of Telling Ghost Stories. So Yuletide Ghost Tales, it combines local history and theater. It kind of makes this one-of-a-kind tradition that celebrates the holidays and, of course, the spirits of the past. So $12 tickets, you can get them online. We'll have the link on our morning show page, and just go to KOAMnewsnow.com for that. It is tonight, tomorrow night, and the night after that at 7:30 p.m. in Joplin. And last but not least, if you're looking for a reason to get outside again, I mean, this is a fun one, and you can actually be in your car the entire time pretty much for this one. You might have to get out a little, but here, let me explain it to you. It's called Guess This Song, and businesses in downtown Pittsburgh are making it happen. They're hosting their own game of trivia. Several of them are decorating their windows in the theme of a classic Christmas song. And what do you want? They want you to guess what song their display is based around. So they'll have QR codes in their windows, and you can just scan the QR code. It'll take you to the link for the form where you can fill out all of your guesses. And there's a bunch of businesses doing this. You fill it out, submit it online, and the winner gets 100 chamber bucks. So we'll have the link for that as well, all on our morning show page at KOAMnewsnow.com. But Michael, it's pretty cool stuff. There's a lot going on, and that's not all of it, but it's just sort of a taste of what you can do this weekend and this holiday season.
I'm going to take you out on Broadway. I'm going to say I can name it in 5 notes. You're going to say you can name it in 4. We'll count down. We'll see who does well. And then Jen will swoop in and just be like, guys, it's such and such in 1 note. We'll be like, ugh!
She would have asked all the shop owners ahead of time.
All right, good stuff, my man. We'll check back in with you in just a little bit. Let's come back, talk temperatures here right after this. Push those temperatures up into the high 60s, low 70s for today. Kind of ridiculously warm for December the 10th. That's why we're going to challenge some records. But remember, we've got not only the rain beginning in early Friday morning, but also the colder temperatures on the backside of it, as our weekend's only going to be in the 30s. Be back right after this.
In Neosho County, Kansas, health officials push for a mask mandate as the hospital hits capacity. We'll look at how an end to the eviction moratorium will impact a local nonprofit organization and how a new initiative by the Parsons Police Department looks to cut down on holiday theft.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, the latest after several states file antitrust lawsuits against Facebook. And the next coronavirus relief package may not include direct payments to Americans. For something to talk about, we're asking if you think the bill should pass without those stimulus checks. You can also chime in on our Insta poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
Cloud cover's not much, but when we get to the temperatures, you'll also notice we've got such a wide variety of them that out in southwest Missouri, it is actually helping hold in some of what we picked up on yesterday as far as warmth-wise. Freeman Health System Sky Camera, very comfortable 43 degrees. This is what I'm talking about. Just being all over the place. Sedan and Independence, Oswego, so below the freezing mark. Pittsburgh's dipped below as well. But now we're rolling 44s in Neosho and Monette and 43 in Carthage. So we're, like I said, we are all over the place temperature-wise. Everybody's going to catch up. High 60s, low 70s. No worries for the kids. Hey, do remind them of this one, just a friendly reminder. They're going to want the jacket probably on the way to the bus. They're not going to need it on the way home because it's going to be so warm. And they are going to need that jacket come Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I know what mine would do. Mine would go stick it in the locker and forget it. And because they don't listen to their dad, even though he does weather. So tell your kids, yeah, I understand it's going to be in the 70s this afternoon. Put your jacket in your school bag and bring it home. You will need it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
It's like coaching. You know, sometimes your own kids don't listen to you, but all you got to do is reiterate the same thing to another person's kid, and they go, boom, light bulbs goes on. All of a sudden, line drives up the middle. And you go, you think to yourself, I was saying that same thing. They just need a different voice. So that's all I'm doing.
Sometimes you need that parenting partner.
That's right.
Yeah. Someone else to
so
say
if anybody
the same thing you just
if
said.
any of you see my kids out there today, remind them to bring their coats home for me.
Because they need them tomorrow. There you go.
And definitely on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, if you leave them at school, what good is it over the weekend?
Nada.
Nothing. Yeah. All right, thanks, Michael. Mask mandates continue to be a topic of contention here in the 4-state area. And Neosho County, Kansas is no exception. The chief of emergency medicine at Neosho Memorial, who also happens to be the Neosho County Health Department director, says COVID-19 has pushed his hospital to capacity. Dr. Keyser and his fellow doctors are urging Neosho County commissioners to opt back into the state mask mandate. Commissioner David Orr agrees with the doctors, but his fellow commissioners do not.
So to me, it's a cut and dry thing. We don't, to me, as commissioners, don't have an option to the only option is to jump into the governor's mandate. We are now, I don't know, about 800 and some people. We're at 3 deaths.
KOAM reached out to both of the commissioners who oppose a mask mandate and received a response from Commissioner Gail Clausen, who says, quote, "My duties as a commissioner are to make decisions that will promote both the health and socioeconomic well-being of the community. While there was an early KU study from June to August that appeared to indicate that mask mandates had a positive impact, I have concerns that the current data does not reflect this." A doctor in Fredonia, Kansas says she has been harassed online and in person, all because of a 30-day mask mandate she helped to pass. Morgan Mobley reports.
Jennifer McKinney was born in this hospital. Now she's a doctor here at Fredonia Regional alongside her dad. She's also taken on the title of Wilson County Health Director, which has been anything but easy this year.
People are tired and they are sick of going through this pandemic. We're all sick of wearing masks, and that leads to people being angry and frustrated.
That frustration has spiraled into attacks.
People being on social media and, speaking their mind about saying they think that I should lose my job.
After much pushback, Dr. McKinney recently got a 30-day mask mandate passed. People at the commission meeting walking out on her. Security by her side she never thought she'd need.
I asked the sheriff's deputy why I was being escorted, and he said, well, we just want to make sure that you're safe.
Some people in town are angry about the mask mandate. They say it infringes on their freedoms, including the owner of this flea market.
They're trying to force it on us, so it takes away our freedom of choice.
Dr. McKinney chooses to remain strong for her community, but what you don't see behind closed doors, moments of fragility showing her humanity.
At times, I have found myself in my office at the end of the day. Everybody's gone, and before I go home to my kids and my family, I sit here and cry a little bit because it's so much.
Dozens of Kansas health directors have waved their white flags this year, but not Dr. McKinney. She says this is home. These are her people, and she refuses to give up on them.
I believe in our community. I believe that we're strong. I believe that we're resilient, and I know we're going to get through this. And so I will keep doing my job. I'm not going anywhere because I believe the people and the community are truly worth it.
The Kansas School Board is recommending elementary schools continue in-person classes, even if the spread of the coronavirus in their communities is so great that schools otherwise would close. The State Board of Education Tuesday updated its pandemic guidance. The change comes after a surge in coronavirus cases across the state over the past month prompted some districts to return to online classes for many or all of their students. An eviction moratorium put in place by the CDC is set to expire at the end of the year. The moratorium temporarily stopped evictions for people who were behind on rent, who had been impacted by COVID-19 and met certain criteria. It was designed to keep people from becoming homeless or having to enter shelter facilities, which could have increased the risk of spreading COVID. Tenants are still required to pay rent and follow all the terms of their lease agreement, but the moratorium would stop landlords from evicting you if you were behind and met the criteria. Many have turned to places like the Economic Security Corporation in Joplin for assistance. To see if you qualify for assistance from Economic Security Corp, we've put contact information on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Parsons Police Department hopes to curb theft and shoplifting this holiday season. The department is kicking off Operation Santa Watch, and starting this Friday, officers will be doing random checks at convenience stores to see if managers are having issues with shoplifting. They'll also be doing patrols inside of parking lots to deter theft from cars and shoplifting. They hope the new program will make a difference in one of their busiest times of the year.
I'm pretty excited about it. I think this is going to stop a lot of the theft reports that we have to take during this time of year, especially shoplifting reports that we typically take. It's not something that's very difficult, so I do have a lot of officers that are willing to help out with it, which is great. So I think it's going to be successful.
The program will run through the 31st. Some Pittsburgh residents are showing appreciation for Christmas lights hung up at homes along Quincy Street. And those lights are courtesy of Kelly Williams, the owner of Pittsburgh Painting, and his crew. Kelly's fiance says he worked all through November to hang up lights for families around town.
I would love to be known as the Christmas light guy, you know. I mean, I would love to be a part of this every year, you know, put Pittsburgh on the map, you know.
Kelly says he decorated more than 60 yards this year. Nice job there, Kelly.
Thanks for bringing that back, Kelly. It took a little hiatus right there. It's so cool down in that neighborhood. Our day planner has sunrise at 7:21, near record highs this afternoon. And remember, take advantage of the day because the rain is a-coming Friday morning.
That's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM morning
Today, the
news,
FDA
the race to approve of.
Today, the FDA could approve a coronavirus vaccine for people here in the U.S. I'm Deborah Alfarone in Washington with what comes next, plus concerns about reactions to the vaccine in the U.K.
Plus, what you need to know about a spike in pet scams during the pandemic. And Jesse Irwin gives us some tips on keeping the house warm.
Well, you've got your heating system, but when should you be using a space heater? We compare the two and look at when you should be properly using a space heater coming up. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More Real News in the Morning. We'll be right back.
In Money Watch this morning, a surge in pet scams during the COVID-19 pandemic is triggering a nationwide warning from the Better Business Bureau. Mandy Gaither explains and has 3 tips for anyone looking to buy a furry friend online.
You're going to have a great time at our house.
Amid an unprecedented demand for furry friends during the COVID-19 pandemic, the number of people falling victim to online pet scams is also soaring. Scammers taking advantage of people stuck at home feeling lonely and isolated. According to the Better Business Bureau, the number of reported pet scams has more than doubled during the shutdown. In the past 12 months, victims are estimated to have lost more than $3 million. That's more than 6 times greater than the total losses reported 3 years ago. That's triggering the BBB to issue a warning for people buying kittens and puppies from breeders online. The BBB says by the end of November, it had received nearly 4,000 scam reports, with many victims saying they sent money but never got the pet they paid for. Months into the pandemic, many states experienced huge surges in animal adoptions. And with demand being so great in some shelters, many people were forced to look for pets online.
My whole family's home from the COVID, so yeah, they have extra attention.
I was jumping for joy. I was so excited. And pretty much couldn't sleep at all yesterday.
If you're looking to buy online, the BBB has 3 recommendations. Number 1, see the pet in person before paying any money. 2, use tactics like reverse image searches and compare prices. And 3, look for animal shelters online that still have fur babies for adoption. For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, Facebook is under fire from the Federal Trade Commission. Dozens of states filed antitrust lawsuits asking a court to force the tech giant to sell Instagram and WhatsApp. The suit claims Facebook uses its monopoly power to crush smaller rivals. In response, Facebook pointed out that the FTC originally approved the acquisitions and says the apps became what they are today because of Facebook's investment. Because of the pandemic, many kids won't get the chance to sit on Santa's lap to tell him what they want for Christmas. So we're giving 4-state kids the chance to send those lists directly to Santa himself. With the help of mom or dad, kids can fill out a list on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com/North Pole. Starting 1 week from today, during the 6 o'clock hour of the KOAM Morning News, the big man in red will read the list of the good little boys and girls in the 4 states. Excited for that. We'll be right back with more news and your weather.
A little past 6:17, roll a little weather on the 7s here on Thursday morning. Still a great shot of Venus if you look to the south-southeast from the Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin. Sitting at 43 degrees, do have a little wind chill in effect, and our temperatures widely spread out below freezing in southeast Kansas and in northeast Oklahoma compared to the mid-40s that we're already seeing in southwest Missouri. Got real close to a couple records yesterday, and we'll do it again this afternoon. For those of you that like to watch that record book, saying between 1 and 4 p.m. is what we'll be eyeballing as far as our max for the day. And if we can get up to 74, it's going to be a tough one, but 74 is the record at Joplin Regional Airport that dates back to 1996. No worries for the kids on the bus stop forecast. In fact, that light jacket that you're going to send them out with, make sure they bring it back, because we're going to have some much cooler temperatures here by the time it's all said and done. Because while the ridge hangs over us right now, this big trough right here is what's headed our way. Still able to make it up into the high 60s, low 70s for tomorrow. But now, as we work into Friday, number one, the development of the cloud cover from the west after midnight, followed by the rain. It's going to be a pretty wet Friday that'll be on us just in time for the bus stop and the morning commute. Last into the afternoon hours, and on the backside of it, temperatures that are only going to be in the high 30s there on Saturday and Sunday. So with these cooler temperatures and a taste of winter truly on its way through next week, so maybe asking yourself, space heater, traditional HVAC furnace, what do I use? We have Jesse to kind of give us some answers. Jesse?
Yeah, well, Michael, let me start by saying there's no one-size-fits-all formula for the most cost-efficient way to bring the heat, right? I mean, that being said, there are several ways to evaluate your game plan and make sure that your bills aren't rising faster than your temperature. So, with space heaters, you want to keep an eye on how much energy it uses. The economics of this comes down to the wattage of your space heater, the efficiency of your heating system, and your utility rate. So, for example, your average space heater runs about 1,500 watts. Running that for 6 hours per day for 30 days will cost you roughly $30 to $35. Now, if you run it for 10 hours per day, and we're paying approximately $60 then for about 30 days of that, right? So whether that makes sense for you depends primarily on the size of your house and the temperature you're looking to keep it at. Yet Bob Hawkins, he specializes in HVAC for CDL Electric, he reminds us that electric space heaters do pose their risks, and while they can work well when we're in between seasons, they're not designed to be a primary source of heat.
The problem with the electric space heaters is they don't have all the safeties designed into them to shut themselves off if something is wrong. So to just plug one in, turn it on, leave, you may come back to a burned down house. If you're going to use them, check the cord periodically. If the cord's getting hot, you have a problem.
At the same time, proper use of a well-designed space heater can be a nice way to complement your main heating system when you want to give it a minute to breathe. The Department of Energy says dialing back your thermostat, Michael, 7 to 10 degrees for 8 hours a day. That'll save you as much as 10% annually on heating and cooling. So we're going to throw some great resources that we found from the Department of Energy on our morning show page. They have a calculator that can actually help you sort of figure out what is the most economical option in order to get through this winter season.
All right, Jesse, good math, my man. Greatly appreciate it. Once now, you can check that out at KOAMnewsnow.com. Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning. Today, a committee of scientists will hold an all-day meeting to decide if the FDA should roll out the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine nationwide. They'll look at all the clinical and trial data collected, plus new developments from the United Kingdom, where 2 people had allergic reactions after being vaccinated. Deborah Alfarone is in Washington with the latest.
The coronavirus vaccine could be just days away.
If it helps, then I would definitely try it.
Today, an independent advisory committee will vote on whether or not to recommend the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for emergency use by the FDA.
These independent scientists will, they'll debate it, they'll discuss it, they'll see a lot of detail, and then they'll vote.
Nearly 3 million doses could be shipped across the country this week if the committee gives its approval.
Colorado's first allocation should be 46,800 doses.
New York expects the initial allocation of 170,000 doses.
The committee will likely look at the United Kingdom, where the same vaccine rolled out earlier this week. 2 healthcare workers with a history of serious allergies had reactions after being vaccinated.
This is something that we should expect. News to come out every day of people reacting differently to what is basically a brand new biotech public health weapon.
England's National Health Service said both people recovered after treatment, but regulators now recommend those with a history of severe allergies hold off until it's fully investigated.
I do see patients who have vaccine allergies. Usually those are patients who have had a reaction to a component of the vaccine, such as gelatin or latex.
Canada approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine yesterday. Citizens there can expect to start receiving shots next week. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
Speaking at an event hosted by Harvard University's T.H. Chan School of Public Health, Dr. Anthony Fauci noted there are 5 other vaccine candidates in the pipeline. So people with severe allergies may just have to use a different one. Moderna's may be available this month, while with Johnson & Johnson and other companies early next year. Well, people who face uncertain issues in their employment and personal lives are nearly 50% more likely to misuse antibiotic prescriptions. Researchers at the University of Warwick found those patients often take antibiotics without proper guidance from a doctor. They say the misuse of antibiotics could lead to a body's resistance to the drugs over time. Spending too much time on social media could be bad for your health. Researchers at the University of Arkansas say young adults who use social media for at least 5 hours a day are nearly 3 times more likely to become depressed within 6 months. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Challenging records on December 10. A whole lot of sunshine up into the high 60s, low 70s. But remember, look at the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday panels. A stark contrast from what we see Thursday and what we saw yesterday, certainly. So let's throw future track into motion. We'll start really after midnight with the development of the cloud cover. Everything works west to east, and then the rain is upon us just in time to get out the door, whether it be for the kids or whether it be for your morning commute last into the afternoon. And then we're back down into the 30s for Saturday and Sunday. Back right after this.
Neosho County, Kansas health officials push for a mask mandate as the hospital hits capacity. We'll look at how an end to the eviction moratorium will impact a local nonprofit organization and how a new initiative by the Parsons Police Department looks to cut down on holiday theft.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, the president-elect's son, Hunter Biden, comes under federal investigation. We'll have the latest and something to talk about on the KOAM News Now Facebook. We are asking whether you think Congress should pass a COVID relief package without stimulus checks. Be sure to weigh in. First, a check on your forecast.
There's a little daylight beginning to arrive here over the mothership in the 4 states on what's going to be a gorgeous Thursday. Skywatch storm tracker with very limited cloud cover. And from the Freeman Health System sky camera, temperature at 43 degrees right now. We've been all over the place temperature-wise. We're still sitting high 20s way out there in the west in Sedan compared to a whole bunch of 40s throughout southwest Missouri. Pittsburgh at 31, Miami sitting right at the freezing mark. So it's going to be a little coat weather to get them out the door and head to school. But look at this quick warm-up. We're going 50 degrees by 9 a.m. My goodness. It's going to be absolutely delightful today. Challenging some records here this afternoon. We've got 4 places that we kind of picked on as far as yesterday's record temps. We went Joplin, Pittsburgh, Chanute, and Monette. Nobody quite got there. A whole bunch of people finished second place all time. But today, you never know. I think we'll tie 1 or 2. And then we've got the rain that comes in early Friday morning, just in time to get everybody out the door. It's going to be wet and it's going to be much cooler with 30s hanging on us on Saturday and Sunday.
Yes. Need to be prepared for the weekend, but enjoy today.
Enjoy
while
today.
It lasts.
We'll take care of the weekend with umbrellas and tomorrow morning show.
Tell your kids to bring their coats home.
How about that? I just went glass half full. You don't get that very much in the Skywatch Weather Center, dude.
No, somebody's in a good mood. That's good. Yay. Because the sun's going to be shining today. There
and
you go.
We're on Record Watch. You know me, when it's time to geek out on Record Watch.
We'll take it. All right, thanks, Michael. Mask mandates continue to be a topic of contention here in the four-state area, and Neosho County, Kansas is no exception. The chief of emergency medicine at Neosho Memorial, who also happens to be the Neosho County Health Department director, says COVID-19 has pushed his hospital to capacity. Dr. Keyser and his fellow doctors are urging Neosho County commissioners to opt back into the state mask mandate. 28 of the 105 counties in the state currently have no mask order. An eviction moratorium issued by the CDC protecting tenants from eviction expires at the end of the year. KOAM's Chris Warner takes a look at the impact on one local organization that's helping those in need and what tenants need to know.
Within the past week, the Economic Security Corporation in Joplin received some additional CARES Act funding to help with a number of things, from utility shutoffs to rental assistance. Now that an eviction moratorium from the CDC is about to expire, Tammy Walker says they've seen an uptick in applications for rental assistance.
Right now, between my 5 staff that are doing applications for rental assistance, they're working through about 50 requests for assistance, and I know that that number is going to grow. We've spent, just in the past 4 days, almost $12,000 helping about 12 different families so far, and I just know that number is going to increase.
Walker says without the CARES funding, they wouldn't be able to offer the help they're offering now.
A lot of the programming that we put in place when we got the CARES funding is stuff that programs that we haven't offered before. We don't normally have a lot of prevention money, so this has really helped try to meet the needs in our communities.
As for the moratorium, it expires on December 31st. That's left questions on what happens to those who need help or can't pay their rent when it ends. The form a tenant must fill out saying they've been impacted by COVID provides some detail on what happens when the moratorium expires. It explains that the tenant is aware that at the end of the temporary halt on evictions that their, quote, housing provider may require payment in full for all payments not made prior to and during the temporary halt, and explains that they then could be subject to eviction. As for the Economic Security Corp being able to help, Walker says the funds are limited.
I worry about being overwhelmed with requests. We've had requests since March, since the pandemic really took hold in the community, but the funds are limited. If they have a need, they need to reach out now to see if they, even qualify for what we have.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Now, to see if you qualify for assistance from Economic Security Corp, we've put contact information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. A local police department is trying to cut down on thefts and shoplifting this holiday season. The Parsons, Kansas Police Department is starting Operation Santa Watch. The program starts this Friday and will have officers do patrols in store parking lots and do walkthroughs to try and prevent shoplifting and theft from cars. A local business owner thinks it's a good idea and is excited for it to start.
Like I said, I just don't want to take away from the necessary stuff that goes on day by day. But I do think it's a good idea, and I'm kind of excited to see how it works.
Program runs through December 31st. Last year, there were more than 500 theft or shoplifting incidents in Parsons. Joplin Police Department releases 2 new surveillance photos of a robbery at Southwest Missouri Bank over the weekend. Authorities say this suspect robbed the SMB on Saturday and then ran away. If you have information about the suspect, you're asked to contact the Joplin Police Department. Bourbon County attorney is facing a disciplinary hearing this week over allegations that she lied in court and crossed other ethical boundaries to obtain convictions when she was the Shawnee County prosecutor. Jackie Spaulding is accused of showing a lack of competence, candor, and fairness in 2 cases she prosecuted. You can read more about this case on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. In Olathe, Kansas, a FedEx tractor trailer went off the side of a highway ramp early Wednesday morning, burst into flames, and killed the driver. The victim is identified as 24-year-old Christian Harris. Police say no other vehicles or motorists were involved in the crash. FedEx issued its condolences to the driver's family and says it is fully cooperating with the accident investigation. Wow. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. an investigation into Hunter Biden.
President-elect Joe Biden's son Hunter revealed the U.S. Attorney in Delaware is investigating his taxes. I'm Deborah Alfarone in Washington with the latest on that and how a historic pick to lead the Pentagon may face some challenges.
Plus, should a coronavirus relief bill be passed without stimulus checks? We let you weigh in our Something to Talk About, but first, it's 6:37.
In a nutshell, we roll the warmth on Thursday. We get the clouds that kick in after midnight into Friday, and then the rain and chilly temperatures are on us to end the work week, and takes us down to the 30s for the weekend. Get out, find a reason to get some fresh air on a beautiful December 10th. We'll be back with Nation Watch next.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, President-elect Joe Biden's son Hunter revealed the U.S. Attorney in Delaware is investigating his taxes. This as the elder Biden's historic pick to lead the Pentagon may face some challenges getting confirmed. Deborah Alfarone has the latest from Washington.
Hunter Biden revealed Wednesday his taxes are under investigation. CBS News has learned the FBI had been looking into his finances since 2018. But law enforcement didn't actively pursue the case during the weeks leading up to the presidential election, keeping with Justice Department policy to not influence the race. The president-elect's son said he's confident a review will find he acted legally and appropriately. Meanwhile, the elder Biden formally announced retired four-star Army General Lloyd Austin as his pick to run the Pentagon.
Given the urgent threat and challenges of our nation's forces, he should be confirmed swiftly.
If confirmed, Austin would be the first African-American Secretary of Defense. But having retired in 2016, he hasn't been away from the military long enough and will need what's called a civilian waiver.
I come to this role, this new role, as a civilian leader, with military experience to be sure, but also with a deep appreciation and reverence for the prevailing wisdom of civilian control of our military.
Here in Washington, it's been more than a month since Election Day, and President Trump still isn't willing to concede. The latest effort to overturn the election comes from Texas, where the Attorney General is filing a lawsuit in the Supreme Court against 4 key states won by President-elect Biden.
The lawsuit alleges Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan changed voting laws that led to election irregularities. The suit is now being backed by President Trump and more than a dozen states. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
Well, Tuesday marked Safe Harbor Day. Election results certified by states viewed by that date are viewed as final, and any subsequent court challenges are almost certain to be denied. Every state but Wisconsin appears to have met that deadline. On December 14th, state electors will meet and cast their ballots. Well, SpaceX rocket explodes on the landing pad after a test flight yesterday in Texas. The Starship rocket took off and had its highest altitude test flight ever at 40,000 feet. Then didn't quite stick the landing, blowing up as it tried to touch down on a floating landing pad. The 16-story prototype is being developed by SpaceX to someday bring humans and cargo to Mars. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Morning Talker.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and also our morning Insta poll, it is the coronavirus stimulus debate and whether or not a relief bill should be passed without a stimulus check. We'll pick back up with Bobby Jane Boyd, who writes, I'm curious why they call it a, quote, corona relief, end quote, if it's not relieving anybody, just their own pockets. Donald Allen says, get out and get a job. Quit complaining about the government not wanting to pay people not to work. If you get a job, you won't need handouts. And Sarah Tullis says, no, there should absolutely be no passing of any bill without a stimulus for the American people. People and families are suffering, job loss, people who can't retire yet need help, elderly living on fixed incomes, and Social Security need help. People overall, unless you're wealthy, need help putting food on the table, paying utilities, insurance, and necessities. Sarah says people need help now. As far as our Instapoll results go this morning, it's been pretty consistent. 89% saying no, it should not be passed unless it includes a stimulus check. We'll be back. Celebrate. Oh, you can log on and vote. It's still open. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Now we're going to come back and celebrate birthdays and anniversaries next.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Petty Officer 2nd Class Michael Harry, a member of the United States Navy from 1971 to 1972, and again from 1990 to 1991. He served during the Vietnam War and the Gulf War. His hometown, Pittsburgh, Kansas. We are proud to salute Michael Harry, our four-state hero.
Birthday list begins with Kyra Glute. She's celebrating her very first birthday. Never too early for good hygiene right there. Kyra's like, I'm gonna tease on a toothbrush. I'm good to go. Happy birthday to Kyra in Neosho. But speaking of teething.
That's right. Not sure if that one's supposed to go in the mouth though.
Yeah,
Hazley Joe Olson.
Perfect, that is fine.
Aw. Hazley is 1 this year, just turned yesterday in Chanute.
There's Griffin High School. He's celebrating his 2nd birthday in Stockton. And if Griffin's got a birthday and he's number 2, well, I bet you that Case High School is also celebrating his 2nd birthday as well. Congratulations to the high school twins in Stockton.
All right. Carly Brokaw turning 7 strong this year. Happy birthday to Carly in Girard. And as I understand, that picture and little medal she's wearing there is from winning the pedal tractor pull for her age group this past season.
Elena Robinson, a happy 8th birthday. And speaking of being out at the fair, looks like she's got her hands full right there. Elena celebrates in Oswego.
All right, and in Webb City, Nola Stalling just turned 10 years old. Hope it was a great birthday for you, Noah.
Got a couple of 16-year-olds, and we're going to start with a sweet 16 for Miss Josie Hayward. Josie, I want you to have a marvelous birthday. She is in Parsons.
All right, Jade Kids turning sweet 16 as well. Jade is in Neodesha.
Now we transition to the 18-year-old variety because that is a senior at Joplin High School right there. Paige Crumsick, counting down to that graduation day, but first we celebrate Paige's birthday. Happy birthday, Paige.
Rhonda Dawson celebrating birthday number 46 this year. Happy birthday, Rhonda, in Fort Scott.
And Jason Troike celebrating a big 5-0. Nice. Already been out and about, man. You're set for the winner right there. Jason is in Girard.
All right, and happy birthday to Papa Mike. With love from the entire family. Mike Zwollen is 65 years old in Oswego. Nice ride there.
Lucille Jansen, happy birthday. Miss Lucille, she is celebrating her birthday in Parsons.
Sherry Schofield celebrating a birthday down in Miami. Happy birthday, Sherry.
As far as an anniversary, how about 47 for Bill and Janet Houston? Congratulations to the Houstons. They are in Girard.
And our very own Mr. Vance Lewis, the head of Promo Land here at KOAM.
Hey, who that is?
Hope you have a great day today, Vance. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mr. Vance. Tell you what, for all of you that come out and see any events, things have been different here lately. You don't realize that that is the man behind the plan who is out busting his rear end to make those events a success for all of us. He does everything, and we just show up and smile, and he puts all the legwork into making everything happen. Happy birthday, Vance. Dennis Woodward celebrating a 77th in Pittsburgh. Happy birthday, Dennis. Megan Cunningham, she has a birthday as well. Megan is in Pittsburgh. John and Susan Graham celebrating their 55th in Erie. All right. Happy birthday, happy anniversary to all. I'll show you what I'm working on. Tanya, you do the very important birthday announcement, and then I'll show this graphic that I just made.
Oh, okay. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
We'll break this down at length here during the noon, but here's what I wanted to point out, how close we got to some records here for yesterday. Here's our December 9th temps and where we historically ranked. Just missed Chanute and Pittsburgh breaking the records. Those are our December 9th records. And here's what we're eyeballing for today. Gonna have to have 74 in Joplin. That one's gonna be hard. But Pittsburgh, Chanute, Monette, I think we got a distinct chance of tying, if not breaking. At Miami, one's gonna be difficult from 29 to get all the way up to 75. But yeah, like I said, We'll put this on Facebook and KOMNewsNow.com and break it down during the noon hour. We'll be back and wrap up this edition of the KOM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The U.S. is poised to take a big step forward in the fight against the coronavirus. An FDA advisory panel will vote today on whether to recommend emergency use authorization for Pfizer's vaccine. The first doses could be shipped to states this weekend. Mask mandates continue to be a topic of contention here in the four-state area, and Neosho County, Kansas is no exception. The chief of emergency medicine at Neosho Memorial, who also happens to be the Neosho County Health Department director, says COVID-19 has pushed his hospital to capacity. Dr. Keyser and his fellow doctors are urging Neosho County commissioners to opt back into the state mask mandate. 28 of the 105 counties in the state currently have no mask order. Butterball says it is cutting operations at its Carthage, Missouri processing plant next spring, laying off 450 workers. Company says the changes are meant to align more with consumer demand. Employees affected will be given the chance to relocate or accept severance packages. The changes are scheduled to begin March 1st. The local police department is trying to cut down on thefts and shoplifting this holiday season. Parsons, Kansas Police Department is starting Operation Santa Watch. Program starts this Friday and will help officers do patrols in store parking lots and do walkthroughs to try to prevent shoplifting and theft from cars. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Weather headline number 1 is going to be a warm Thursday. Weather headline number 2 is going to be a wet Friday. Weather headline number 3 is going to be a cold weekend. Delightful today. Find that excuse to get some fresh air. After midnight, here comes a cloud, here comes the rain. Everything moves west to east. Should be able to avoid the wintry mix compared to what they'll see in central Kansas. But the rain persists all the way into the afternoon hours. Not looking at anything severe. But the big thing is going to be the cold front on the backside of it. Look at these temperatures for Saturday and Sunday. Hello, 30s. What a difference from Saturday and Sunday to what we experience on Wednesday and Thursday.
All right. The KOAM Toy Box campaign is underway, and we need your help to make it a Merry Christmas for all 4 state children. We're asking our viewers to donate new unwrapped toys or donate money that'll be used to buy toys.
Now, those toys go to our distribution centers around the 4 states, and families have a chance to shop for the children on their list. And that way, we all come together to make sure every child has a present on Christmas morning.
If you'd like to help, here are a couple of options. You can drop off your new unwrapped toy at our stations in Joplin at 7th and Range Line or at our main studio south of Pittsburgh on Highway 69. Or you can make a donation with a credit card during our Toy Box Tuesday telethons during our noon, 5, and 6 newscast. Or you can donate online anytime at KOAMNewsNow.com or on our KOAM News app.
What do you have coming up today at noon?
Oh, coming up today at noon, we're making homemade jelly donuts in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Also at noon, we're going to break down these new numbers for our December 9th and 10th records, see how close we can get. And of course, we've got Mr. Irwin, who's going to join us over on Fox 14 in a matter of minutes. What do you have, Jesse?
Well, we're going to look at the difference between using your space heater and using your heating system, and how often you should be bringing that space heater into the mix. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to be looking at some holiday events coming up, and of course it's the first day of Hanukkah, heading into the first night of Hanukkah, so I'm getting geared up, but we'll have more on that. We'll see you over there at 7 o'clock.
Appreciate it, my man. Flip over, join us over on Fox 14. That wraps it up for this Thursday edition. Have a great, safe, sunshiny day. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.